Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. A beautiful name of Allah is Al-Wahab, the supreme giver, the one who is abundantly generous in giving without ever needing to calculate. When Hazrat Sulaiman called out to Allah to grant him a kingdom the like of which no one had been granted, he did so with this name. He said, Innaka antal Wahab. Indeed, you are the generous bestower. Allah cares, loves, forgives, and these are all gifts from the one who is Al-Wahhab. Just as Allah gives gifts out of love, we should also learn to do the same. Sometimes gifts are not things. Sometimes gifts are good words that touch people's lives. And today, we are going to reflect this by a story. Maryam, a school teacher, stood in front of her class on the first day of school that year, and she told the children of grade 5 something. She looked at her students and said, I love you all. Now in her class, seated in the front row, was a little boy called Azim, who looked awkward and uninterested. Maryam had watched Azim from the year before and had noticed that he did not play with the other children, and his clothes were always messy and dirty. In addition, Azim could be lazy and the type who never did his work on time. It got to the point where Maryam would actually take delight in marking his papers with a red pen, making bold, wrong, X's, and then putting a big F at the top of the paper. At the school where Maryam taught, she was required to review each child's past records. One day, she decided to review Azim's past file. She was in for a shock. Azim's first grade teacher had written, He's a bright child with a ready laugh. He does his work neatly and has good manners. He's a joy to be around. Azim's second grade teacher had written, He's an excellent student, well liked by his classmates. But recently he looks troubled because his mother has a terminal illness and life at home must be a struggle for him. Then Azim's third grade teacher had written, his mother's death had been hard on him. He tries to do his best, but his father doesn't show much interest and his home life will soon affect him if some steps aren't taken. And Azim's fourth grade teacher had written, he's withdrawn and doesn't show much interest in school. He doesn't even have any friends and he sometimes goes to sleep in the class. By now, Maryam had realized the problem. She was very sad and ashamed of herself. She decided she must do something to show him that she indeed loved and cared for him as a student. When her students brought her Eid gifts, wrapped in these beautiful ribbons and bright paper, Azim's present was clumsily wrapped in heavy brown paper that he got maybe from a grocery bag. Maryam took pains to open Azim's gift in the middle of the other presents. Some of the children, started to giggle when she found a bracelet with some of the stones missing and a bottle which was 1/4 full of perfume. But she looked directly at Azim and said, Thank you, my dear. What a beautiful bracelet. And she wore it at once. Then she took a, sniff of the perfume, which was a good one, and dabbed it on her wrist saying, Thank you, Azim. I loved your gift. What happened was Azim stayed after school that day just long enough to say, Teacher Maryam, today you smelled just like my mommy used to do. After the children left, Maryam felt the tears in her eyes. She was so glad to be able to start to understand the little boy. On that very day, she became what we call a real teacher. She reflected the name of Allah Al-Wahhab with her good words. She began to look towards each and every child, recognizing that each one had a unique quality embedded within. Maryam paid particular attention to Azim. As she walked with him, his mind seemed to come alive. The more she encouraged him, the faster he responded. By the end of the year, Azim had become one of the smartest children in the class. And sometimes he was even teased as teacher's pet. A year later, she found a note under her door from Azim telling her she was the best teacher he had ever had in his whole life. 6 years went by. before she got another note from Azim. He then wrote that he had finished high school and was third in his class. He had other teachers, but he said she was still the best teacher he ever had in his life. Then 4 years passed by. She got another letter saying that whilst things had been tough at times, he stayed in school, had tried his level best. Now he had graduated from college and with the highest of honors. Again, he assured Maryam she was still the best and favorite teacher he had ever had in his whole life. 4 more years passed and she got another letter. This time he explained that after he got his bachelor's degree, he decided to go a little further. The letter explained that she was still his best teacher. Now his name had a title. He was Dr. Azim. The story doesn't end here, you see. There was yet another letter that spring. Azim said he had met this girl and was going to get married. He explained that his father had died a couple of years ago and he was wondering if his teacher Maryam might agree to sit at the wedding in the place that was usually reserved for the mother of the groom. Of course, Maryam said yes. And guess what? She wore that bracelet, the one with several stones missing. Moreover, she made sure she was wearing the perfume that Azim remembered his mother wearing on their last Eid together. They met after a long time and smiled at each other. Azim said in a low voice, "Thank you, Teacher Maryam, for believing in me. Thank you so much for making me feel important and showing me that I could make a difference." Maryam had tears in her eyes. As she whispered back, she said, "Azim, you have it all wrong. You were the one who taught me that I could make a difference. I didn't know how to really teach until I met you." So you can never tell what type of impact you may have on another person's life by your actions or lack of actions and by your good words. All you have to do is just try to make a difference in someone else's life today. You'll be amazed at how these little things have a strong impact in your life and in the lives you touch. When we do, things for ourselves, it dies off with us. But what we do for others and the world remains immortal. Well, children, teachers are very special in our lives. We must show them that we care for them and we appreciate what they do. So many teachers light up our lives with their kind words and their belief in us, isn't it? I feel like doing something extra special for my own teacher, whom I still remember. She used to tell me I'm intelligent and I have a lot going for me, but I remember being quite naughty and talkative. But these words made me so happy and encouraged me to be what I am today. So let's embed this quality within our hearts and give out happiness and be generous with our words in our lives. So you want to sing with me? Allah is Wahab. Allah gives so much. Let's all try to give. Let's add a special touch. Let's bring up a smile on the face of an orphan. Let's make it a point to please everyone. The beauty of kindness will always remain. The joy will spread in our hearts and our veins. Come on, Allah is Wahab. Allah gives so much. Let's all try to give. Let's add a special touch. Let's bring up a smile on the face of an orphan. Let's make it a point to please everyone. Children, Allah is Wahab. Allah gives so much. Let's all try to give. Let's add a special touch. Let's bring up a smile on the face of an orphan. Let's make it a point to please everyone. What a beautiful name of Allah. Allah is Al-Wahhab. Can we try to reflect this quality, children? I'm sure we'll all try our best.